Mercedes' flagship electric sedan, the EQS580, promises big range and big luxury here in 2022. How does that equate in real-world driving on the highway? Let's go find out. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and today we've got the real-world highway efficiency and range test on the 2022 Mercedes-Benz EQS580. In today's test, we're going to head out and do 50 miles out and 50 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour, to get you a realistic range and efficiency figure for this luxury sedan. Before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. The 580 model actually has a little bit less estimated range than the 450, but it comes in all-wheel drive and has a little bit more peak power, actually quite a bit more peak power, so it should be the more exciting of the two to drive. It is a little strange looking, but as Chris says, I prefer weird over boring, and it certainly isn't boring, although I wouldn't want to be the ones cleaning these wheels. My goodness. Another key point I should make right now is unfortunately we are running winter tires. This is equipped with Bridgestone Blizzaks, is that what we got? Yeah, Bridgestone Blizzak LM005 MOES, so Mercedes recommended winter tire for this car. So that is going to affect our range as well, but it's a real-world test, and if you plan on driving an EQS in realistic situations, being safe in winter driving with winter tires, colder temps, this is what you should be able to realistically expect cruising on the highway. If you do want to see more on the EQS, check the links in the description. I don't think we're going to have time for a full DM review of this car, but I'll give you my highway driving impressions as we drive here, and we're going to have a review of the Burmester sound system test as well. So anything we shoot, we'll put the links in the description. We'll probably link the Topher's review on this car as well. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's highway fuel economy test, which gives this EQS 98 MPGe on the highway, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. We know there are people who take their vehicles on long road trips, even EVs like this, and would like to know what sort of numbers you can realistically expect here in the real world. We should get this thing started here, point out a few things outside of the tires. Our current full charge rating is 300 miles to empty. It does say maximum of 336. That's a bit shorter than the 340 miles mixed driving estimate range for this car, but we'll see what that actually comes out to when we're driving on the road. We don't have any sort of cabin preconditioning, so right when we start the test, I'm going to set the climate control to 67 degrees Fahrenheit and the seat heater on level 1. That's, I think, a pretty realistic figure for how people are going to drive their EVs in the cold. Typically, we set the temps at 73 degrees auto, but that's going to require a lot more heat generation for an electric vehicle. I think it's more realistic to run at 67. All right, let's get started here. Let's do car on. Comes to life. Climate. 67. Full auto. Let's do auto fan down. Get that one down as well. And let's not do eco climate. Let's leave eco climate off, but let's put the drive mode here into eco. Come on. Having trouble waking up here. All right, eco drive mode, climate 67, GPS reset. Let's reset the car's computer as well. All right, we're ready to begin. We are going to run the regen in strong recuperation. Now, yes, technically speaking, we might be able to get a little bit more efficiency out of running in no regen and coasting as much as possible, but I don't think that's a very realistic way for people to drive their EVs. Let's get the seat heat on one as well. These EV tests are always a little bit more intimidating, a little bit more going on, especially with a very busy car like this EQS. There's a lot to account for. I should note that the outside temperature is 47 degrees Fahrenheit right now. It'll probably heat up throughout the drive, and we're going to have some sunshine helping us out as well. That'll heat up the cabin. And our tire pressures are set to the door placard 41 PSI. Now, interestingly, Mercedes often have two tire pressure values. They have their normal driving and then their max load. Max load, I think, is 44 in the front, 48 in the rear. We've got 41 all around for these 21-inch wheels. Hear the fan kicking on now. Feel the heat coming. Got the heat in my seat. I'm gonna leave the steering wheel heater off, unfortunately. This wheel feels really, really nice, and it'd be nice to have it heated up, but for the sake of science, I will leave it off. We've got about 2 miles of quote-unquote city driving before reaching the highway on our EV route, so I will catch up with you before we hop on the highway. Here we are, getting on the highway. Now the goal of this test isn't to hypermile. We're not going to be trying to get the best possible range for this car, but rather a realistic figure. In order to do that, getting up to highway speed at a reasonable pace here. Now interestingly, when you're in eco mode, it makes it really hard to push the pedal. The accelerator pedal actually has extra resistance in it in eco mode, and when you try to push it down, it has a lot of resistance. So it's trying to tell you, okay, don't push the accelerator down any harder than this. And right now, I've got it pushed all the way, like before it starts giving me a lot of resistance. I'm only going 68. So I have to really, really push it. I mean, an actual physical effort, hard with my leg, to get it to go faster. We're just going to resort over to our cruise control here. Set the cruise at a GPS indicated 72 miles per hour. Unfortunately, my phone has fallen and the GPS wasn't running. Great. Really appreciate that, phone. Okay. So fortunately we can tell how far we went based on GPS, but looks like 72 on the dash is giving us right around 71, 72 on the GPS. Might need to bump up 1 mile per hour. Let's try that, 73. There we go. That should give us 72 for the drive. Mercedes has a pretty darn good semi-autonomous driving mode, so you can see the car is pretty much keeping itself right in the lane for me. This should be a very easy drive. Admittedly, not preheating the cabin has used up a lot of electricity right off the bat, but hopefully that watt hours per mile kind of comes down as we keep driving. So we're going to continue on with the rest of the test and catch up with you at the end. In the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip. Coming into the end of the highway efficiency test here in the EQS580. What that sound means is, I don't know, man. When you're driving a luxury vehicle, little tiny complaints result in big decreases in overall driving enjoyment, because little annoyances infiltrate and disrupt what is overall a very gentle, enjoying experience. These are very comfortable seats. I've got a nice headrest behind me. It's a pillow. It's very quiet in here. And then when you put in something like an errant beep, or trying to adjust your volume and it not making sense with you, or the vehicle freezing up, or at one point actually slamming on the brakes, it did a very Tesla style drop from. Also, why is my cold seat on? I never turned that on. A very Tesla-style drop from 73 down to about 68, where it thought it saw something and flashed and beeped at me. Those type of things entirely ruin a luxury car driving experience, because you're going from pretty much no annoyances to something fairly moderate, and it really blows it up. So I don't know. I didn't super enjoy my time behind the wheel of this car. For example, in eco mode, like I pointed out when we were getting on the highway, it really forces you to not want to push down on the accelerator very hard. But if you need to get around a semi-truck or something like that, then you do go ahead and push on the accelerator, and it sort of jumps forward because you're breaking through a barrier. It kind of feels in the pedal. And yeah, I know that's unique to eco mode, but if some people want to drive in eco mode and get better range, then it's something that they're gonna have to encounter and deal with. So in terms of efficiency, we're not too far off where I would expect. We're running the winter tires, so you could probably expect a 5 to 10% drop in efficiency compared to a very eco-focused summer or all-season tire. But 382 watt-hours per mile, that's putting us just under 300 miles of range, given the usable battery in this vehicle. We're gonna get it back to my house and charge everything up and go off of the amount of electricity put into the vehicle and kind of come up with an estimated range figure for that. But 380 miles per kilowatt hour, not too bad, or rather 380 watt hours per mile, not too bad for a vehicle this size, caliber, and with winter tires. The EQS is all charged back up. It's telling us 300 miles, I guess, of battery range, but maximum 340. So I don't know if, again, that means in ideal situations you'll get 340 or if there's some sort of reserve it kicks into. But the car says it did 380 watt hours per mile. Let's get a quick miles per kilowatt readout on there. 1 divided by 0.380 is giving us 2.63 miles per kilowatt hour, according to the car's trip computer. But let's take a look at what our charger put into the car and then do a calculation from there. Charging all the way back up, it looks like the charger put in 41.2 kilowatt hours, and we like to go with a 90% charging efficiency at level 2. So what was that? 41.2 times 0.9. It's giving us 37.08 kilowatt hours that we're expecting actually got into the vehicle's battery and was used to propel it down the road. 100.5 total miles traveled divided by 37.08 kilowatt hours is giving us a 2.71 kilowatt hour, miles per kilowatt hour reading. EVs, man, you got to keep your units straight. 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour according to our charger, how much charge the car actually took. And that's with a little plus or minus there given the charging efficiency that we calculate for, but that's coming in pretty decently in line with the car, so we're going to give it a 2.7 mile per kilowatt hour average for driving the EQS580 at highway speeds with winter tires on there. So let's take that 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour times we're just going to go with 108 roughly kilowatt hours available to use in the battery packs, giving you an effective highway cruising range of just a hair over 290 miles, again, on winter tires in, I would say, actually fairly ideal conditions. Yeah, we were probably providing a little bit of heat there at the beginning, I know we were, but then the sun was heating the car up as we drove along. So I think just hopping in your car, throwing it in gear, and driving from a full charge, you should be able to squeeze out 290 miles in most driving conditions at 70 miles per hour here in the EQS. Thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the EQS, as I've been calling it, check the links in the description, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.